than 1 billion people on Earth have one thing in common. They make up about 15% of the world's population, making them the largest minority of all. However, this part of the population has to keep fighting for its rights and attention. We're talking about people with disabilities. Fact is, inclusion is a human right, anchored in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Inclusion describes the equal participation of people with disabilities in a society. But there has to be more. Inclusion also means removing barriers and discrimination and promoting a diverse society. Therefore, inclusion is much more than just integration. Around 80% of people with disabilities worldwide live in developing countries. According to Article 32 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, it must be guaranteed that international cooperation with its development programs includes people with disabilities and makes their programs accessible to them. GIZ's Global Project Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities, commissioned by the BMZ, is active around the world to promote the inclusion through its projects. Helle Deertz, advisor of the Global Project Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities, dependent on 24-hour assistance, went to Guinea in West Africa for an internship in the basic education program. With the support of the GIZ, she got an overview of the situation in the capital Conakry and the surrounding area, especially about the opportunities for people with disabilities to participate in the education system.
J'aimerais bien voir votre travail ici du programme éducation.
Nous nous sommes toujours battus pour prendre en charge les handicapés. Il n'y a que certaines familles qui ont des enfants handicapés n'ont pas le courage d'envoyer leurs enfants. Il n'y a que certains handicapés pensent que c'est la fatalité, ils ne peuvent rien faire d'utile pour leur société.
This project, implemented by GIZ, is cooperating with partner countries worldwide. For example, in the fields of health, education, and in cooperation with local authorities and the business community. Innovative and inclusive approaches shall be put into practice here. Helle Deertz provides professional support. She cooperates directly with a target group of people with disabilities and promotes their participation in social life. In Conakry, she led 2 workshops on inclusive education.
Thème de l'inclusion et pour ça on utilise de certaine façon le thème, l'aspect de l'exclusion et on essaye d'expliquer, comme j'ai déjà dit, qu'il y a 15% dans le monde entier qui ont un handicap. Et qu'est-ce que c'est pour vous l'inclusion, intégration, ségrégation? Vous avez vécu des événements, des aspects que j'ai écrits, par exemple, moi-même sur le cadre éducatif avec le voyage, par exemple.
Helle Deertz attended a school in Guinea that has already gained experience with inclusive teaching methods and a school for children with hearing impairments. In developing countries in particular, girls and boys with disabilities rarely have the possibility to go to school, so they have no access to education. Accessibility is the key word here. Article 24 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities stipulates that people with disabilities must have full access to education and lifelong learning. Teaching in educational institutions must be barrier-free, which means access for everyone to the buildings and sanitary facilities, support for children with disabilities through sign language, and books with Braille. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It was adopted by all member states of the United Nations in 2015. The central part consists of 17 Sustainable Development Goals. 5 of these goals take inclusion into account, 3 of them explicitly. inclusive education and lifelong learning for everyone, inclusive economic growth and decent work for everyone, inclusive design of cities and settlements. Leave no one behind. This is the core principle of the 2030 Agenda. GIZ is committed to achieving these goals and promotes inclusion within its own structures. Based on her experience, Helle Deertz can only recommend everyone, regardless of their disability, to go abroad for the GIZ. The support of all the people she met during her one-month internship in Guinea gave her a feeling of freedom. She often encounters barriers, but her disability is part of her life and is now one of her strengths. She has given the first impetus in terms of inclusion since starting at GIZ. But she doesn't want to rest on that. Inclusion should become a matter of course in everyday life at GIZ, all around the world.